When we win, Pennsylvania wins and America wins, and that's what's happening. But now we're finally protecting our nation, rebuilding our cities.
Yo, what's up, Judas Brown, man? One thing is for certain, that Donald James Trump was a great president. Everybody knows Donald James Trump was a great president. I know it. You know it. Donald Trump knows it. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Nobody can do it like me. Nobody. Nobody can do it like me. Honestly.
Nobody's stronger than me.
Nobody has better toys than I do.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me.
Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump.
Because nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation. The sale of the uranium that nobody knows what it means. I know what it means.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Nobody knows the game better than I do.
Nobody's in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump.
I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me. Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do. Nobody knows more about debt than I do.
Nobody knows the system better than me.
Now, when you think of great presidents, you think George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, you think Abraham Lincoln, you think Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Ronald Wilson Reagan, William Jefferson Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama. Now you got to think Donald James Trump, because when it comes to presidents, nobody did it better than the Donald. I mean, historically, this country's turned out some pretty great presidents, and nobody knows history better than Donald Trump.
History and culture, so important. We are living in a time that's as evil as any time that there has ever been. You know, when I was a young man, I studied medieval times. That's what they did. They chopped off heads. The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge. Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports.
Airports?
History, so important. Civil War, you think about it, why? People don't ask that question. But why was there the Civil War? Why could that one not have been worked out?
People don't realize, you know, if you go back to the Civil War, it was the Republicans that really did the thing.
Did he just call the Emancipation Proclamation the thing?
So Robert E. Lee was a great general, and Abraham Lincoln developed a phobia.
Robert E. Lee, Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general? Whoa.
Honest Abe. I wonder if he was really that honest, but you know what? Let's assume Honest Abe was Honest Abe. But Lincoln had almost developed a phobia because he was having a hard time with a true great fighter and a great general, Robert E. Lee. He was going crazy. I don't know if you know this story. General Grant, the great General Ulysses S. Grant. He went in and he knocked the hell out of everyone. He had a serious problem, a serious drinking problem. But man, was he a good general. And he's finally being recognized as a great general.
General Grant is on the $50 bill.
Frederick Douglass is an example of somebody who's done an amazing job and is being recognized more and more, I notice.
Had Andrew Jackson been a little bit later, you wouldn't have had the Civil War. He was really angry that he saw what was happening with regard to the Civil War. He said, there's no reason for this. And remember one thing, because I always consider him to be a true great. And people never give us credit for this. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, right?
They always said nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse.
We weren't allowed any rights. We had, for the first time in the history of our country, we had virtually no rights, no due process.
Anybody catch the brother at about 1 o'clock behind Donald Trump's shoulder, the reaction that he gave Trump to that statement?
So the great tariff debate of 1888, we had so much money, we could do whatever we wanted. Then in 1913, they ended tariffs, okay? Somebody got stupid, and they ended tariffs. And then in 1928, you had the Great Depression. For a lot of different reasons, not necessarily our country's fault, but a little bit our country's fault.
And I mean, people forget that at that time, Hitler was virtually unstoppable. He was going through countries like cheese.
America built the Empire State Building in just 1 year. Believe it or not, in 9 months.
Can you believe that?
They say a wall is medieval. Well, so is a wheel. A wheel is older than a wall. The wheel is older than the wall. You know that?
During a heated phone conversation with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau regarding tariffs, Trump asked, quote, "Didn't you guys burn down the White House?" Trump was apparently referring to the War of 1812, which was fought against the British. The British burned down the White House, the original White House in 1814. The British.
We have to understand our past. We have to understand our history. Because if we don't know our history, it could all happen again. Have to know our history. History, so important.
I'm going to miss that guy.